Linda Larrivee is the Director for Product and Content Communications at Ultimate Software. With no further ado, Linda, take it away.
Hi, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I have to say this is probably the toughest room I've ever had to speak in, so we're going to make the most of it. And if you're hiding behind the columns, well, I'll just assume you're happy and smiling back there. All right, so as Jesse said, my name is Linda Larrivee, and my role at Ultimate Software is to manage the team who builds all of our content for our customers. So this is product content. We are a software company. We really are the ultimate software company, and that's intentional. That is the name of our organization. So if you saw that little clip coming in, I played that intentionally on the spot a little while ago, decided that would be a good way to start, because to me it really ties into what we heard Ted from Forrester talk about this morning, what we heard John Mancini talk about yesterday, about empowering people, and that concept of what AIM is now about in terms of information management is about empowering people in the work they do, whether it's your customers, your employees, your vendors, whatever that is. And that's the business that we're in at Ultimate Software. We are in the people business. So Ultimate Software builds, develops, sells, supports a human resources and payroll application, otherwise known as human capital management, and these days we coin the term people management application. We were founded in 1990. We are now exclusively a SaaS-based, really cloud-based application. We're headquartered in South Florida, so Western Florida is just outside Fort Lauderdale, but we actually manage a virtual workforce. I manage a team of 32 information professionals who are located across the country. So we are all virtual workers. Everything we do is done in a virtual way. We are very happy to have been announced just a month ago to Fortune 100's top 100 companies to work for in the United States, so we're very happy about that. And it all has to do with our culture. I know several of the speakers, again, that you've heard in the keynotes have talked about having a culture that fosters that employee engagement, employee innovation, and that's how Ultimate Software was founded. Our founder, Scott Shear, wanted to build a different kind of company, and so his principle was that if we empower employees and we give them the tools to do their job, and we make them happy and we take care of them, that our employees will take care of our customers, and our customers will be happy, and that, in the end, will take care of our shareholders. So unlike a lot of companies who worry about shareholders first, then customers, then employees, our pyramid is the other way around. We take care of our employees first, they take care of our customers, that takes care of our shareholders. Won a few other awards along the way that I have here on the intro slide. The 2012 award from B2B for the best use of LinkedIn, so we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. And we also won a 2011 Forrester Groundswell Award for our online customer community, which is a way that we collect ideas from our customers to change the way that we develop our product. Our principles about designing our product are that we have people-centered design, so again, engagement to the individual, to help people in the flow of their work, where they are, with whatever the device they're using, that you don't have to go to some separate place and follow our rules for how you do your job. You do your job the way you want to do your job, and then you interact with the pieces of our application that you need to, when you need to, wherever you happen to be. In our industry, the human capital management industry, previously known as HR Payroll Systems, lots of things are driving change and innovation in our industry. So it's not just keeping up with the competition. We are having to change things about technology, like all the platforms that we've all been talking about. We're increasingly having to account for collaboration between not just people inside our company, but between us and our customers wanting to collaborate with each other within their company and other customers as well in the space that we're in. So we've had to account for that as well in what we develop. Mobility, user experience, all those sorts of things. So that's what's driving now what we have to do and what we change. All of this I present to you by way of explaining what my role is as being the Director for Content and Communications for Ultimate. We have to build all the content that helps our customers understand what our product does for them and how it will help them to do their job. And it changes constantly because of all of these things. We are in the payroll business. We are in the payroll and tax withholding and tax filing business. That changes in the last couple years almost daily. There's somebody writing some new law about changing that. So we have to reflect that, and of course we have to be accurate. Everybody here gets paid in some way. Everybody likes to get paid. You like to be paid on time, and you like it to be accurate. So that's important. It sounds like such a simple thing, not always so simple to do. So what impacts our content? The job of my team, these are some of the key things that impact how dynamic we need to be, and I'll get into the tools that we use to do that. We have a product release 3 times a year. So every 4 months, there's a new enhanced version of our product. Again, cloud-based product, applies to all customers at one time. Everybody gets the new version of the product. But 3 times a year, every 4 months, there's a major enhancement to all of that information, which means that all of our content that supports that has to constantly change. And every now and then, they do things like change out the UI completely, So all that learning content we had that was based on a different UI, and maybe you had some screenshots in there of things, totally changes everything. We, in January, changed out our brand at our company, the color scheme, that I am the I in Ultimate Software campaign. Well, that happened in January. I now have to replicate that through all of our content and change our branding. So all of those things are constantly changing. Business initiatives within our business for what we're doing in the marketplace affect our content. Government-initiated change, we don't choose the things that governments tell us that they're going to do, but we have to react to it. So that's a big factor as well. Ongoing. So again, in the payroll tax business, at least once a quarter, there are major changes across the parts of the world that we cover for payroll. So we have to account for that. And it's not only once a quarter. Frankly, these days, it's almost once a week that we have some change from some federal, state, or local taxing authority that impacts what we have to tell our customers is going on. Our customers themselves, we have multiple user groups across the North American continent, which is where we focus. So we have the user groups that are constantly giving us input as well. We have online communities. We have user groups that meet in lots of different ways, so we're reacting to all that. And then, of course, technology change. Our view of customer collaboration and where knowledge fits is represented by the circles that you see here. So knowledge encompasses content management, of course. It also encompasses learning delivery. So I'm part of that. I'm not just writing content, but my team is also part of how we put learning out to the organization, both internally and for our customers. So part of learning, we maintain a knowledge base. We work with customer service. So in some ways, we're an extension of customer service in that respect. And then now increasingly tapping into social and community ways of managing that information. UltiPro Ideas, this is what we won the Forrester Award for. So UltiPro Ideas is a social community that allows our customers to give us their ideas about what they'd like to see different in the product. And then they get to solicit votes from other customers about those ideas. And so eventually, the most popular ideas are raised to the top. People talk about them, collaborate about them, and then we act on them. So with every one of those releases that happen 3 times a year, we are also communicating to our customers, and by the way, here's the top 25 things you guys wanted, and that's what just got in the product, and now we tell you about that. So all of that is a constant thing in terms of collaboration and voting. LinkedIn communities, we use LinkedIn a lot. That's what we just won a B2B award about, is our customer communities. So I'll show you a little bit about that as well. So this is UltiPro Ideas. It's built on, not that the technology it really isn't as important as the fact we have a community like this, but it's built on Accept 360 is a product that we use to manage our product management roadmaps. And so they have a product called Accept Ideas. Salesforce has something called Salesforce Ideas, very similar. We're actually evaluating moving to that because we're also a Salesforce customer. So this concept of there are communities you can belong to, you put in your suggestion, you vote, you interact. Customers are not just talking about what they want to see different in our product line through this community, but they're also talking about what they want to see different in our content, and what they want to see different in our learning, and how they want us to interact with them and communicate with them. So all of that as well feeds the roadmap for what my team builds in any given week. These are our LinkedIn communities, lots of these. We actually have about 22 LinkedIn communities. Some are regional, some are by country, some are by special interest groups. So if you care about payroll, you care about benefits, you care about recruiting, so you have a community that you can join. And so conversations are happening here all the time. Customers don't wait for our knowledge base to find an answer to their question. They're reaching out to each other. So they're doing peer-to-peer information sharing, peer-to-peer question and answer to say, have you ever implemented this feature? How did you do it? What can you tell me? They're not just seeking the content my team has written, but they're seeking content from each other. So we don't have, I will admit this, we don't have a good way today of allowing them to share that content easily. They're frankly emailing things to each other. And so we're in the midst of changing that out and giving customers a platform where they can share that content more readily. And so then we can tap into it together, not just the content my team writes, but how customers have extended that content for what it means to them as they use it in their business. So for instance, we provide our customers with content on how to launch and roll out employee self-service within their company. But it's a template, right? So it's only a rough framework for that. Each customer is doing it their own way. They want to know, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you do it? And they want to share those ideas, not just in these communities. They literally want your PowerPoints for how you did it. And so we're enabling that kind of sharing to happen as well. Our approach to knowledge is that we provide blended learning opportunities. There is no one-size-fits-all. People like to learn in different ways. And so what we're writing is content that provides for a mix of live instructor-led events. So you show up at a certain date, certain time, sometimes a certain place, but increasingly virtually. And so you have that opportunity to learn. Might be an all-day classroom. Increasingly, it's more of a couple of hours virtual instruction. But more and more, the way people are learning is on the on-demand side. So most of what we're creating these days is about on-demand content. So I might want to watch a 5-minute video, or I want to interact with a 10-minute e-learning piece. So all of those elements are increasingly what our customers are expecting, and they want it just in time. They don't want to know that it's going to take a year before that new material comes out. They want to see that very rapidly. And remember what I said about we have 3 major product releases a year. So every time there's a product release, our customers, our users, have an expectation that all that material is also up to date at the same time. Anybody else in here within the content authoring side of things, either for your business or some aspect? So you're writing or managing a team who's writing content. Do you face that same challenge of it's changing almost as fast as you can possibly write it? And you just put it out, and now they've changed the UI, and now you've got to change it again. So that's a constant thing for us to keep up with that. Used to be that a lot of this was written with, frankly, Microsoft Word. Pretty hard to keep up with that. Yes, we'd have templates and standards and all those sorts of things, but it wasn't a very efficient way to keep up with that amount of rapid change, especially as you keep adding things on the on-demand side of the delivery. New tools, new technologies, new way to put that stuff out. Same content, kernels inside of them, but different delivery mechanisms for how people consume that according to how they like to learn. Not everybody likes to do it the same way. So these are some examples of the content items that my team has to manage. You have lists, I'm sure, similar to these. You might have different combinations of things. This is a software company. So it's all about product information. How does this work? How can you take advantage of it? How do you configure it? How do you use it within your business? So everything from online help and release notes to that interactive content, e-learning, videos, a communication blog, all of that information has a common thread of what is the consistent message from our company, because we do have a brand and a message that we put out there in the marketplace. So what's consistent in there, and then where do we allow our customers to extend that and do whatever the heck they want with it as well? We are increasingly looking to be people-centered in our approach. So you saw that, some of you saw that clip about people first is our message. We're not looking to be intrusive into the way that you do your work, but we want to supplement and complement the way you do your work. So where you work is where we want your content to be. If you're using our application, you shouldn't have to log into some separate support site to go to some page of that support site to find the content that answers your question about what you're now trying to do in the application. It should be right there where you are. Now, traditional online help systems would certainly give you the, here, let me tell you what this page does. And that's what you initially see here where it says help in that little pop-up. But what else can I do? And that's what's in the real estate on the right-hand side of the page. So that's increasingly what we're doing is extending that with your on-demand options. While I'm here, what else can I do? Can I watch a video clip? Can I search the knowledge base? Can I ask the audience and put a question out to my peer group? That's what we're making available increasingly from inside the product. And all of that, for me, is a content management thread. All of that. These are just other examples of things that people want to do. These are little video clips, lots of variations, and now increasingly for these devices is where people want to have their learning take place so they can take it with them. So how do we manage all that? Where's the control part of that? Because we're in the control track, right? So taxonomy, frankly, is one of the main ways that we had to get our arms around how to manage this information. A year ago, we embarked on a new taxonomy project. It wasn't easy. Anyone here recently gone through a redo your organization's taxonomy? Easy to get people to agree to all the words, right? Oh yeah, right. Oh my God. Yeah, we kicked off the project literally a year ago as I'm standing here. And we thought, how hard could this be? We know what our products and services are. We know what we call them. We know what's related to what. How hard could this be? Oh my God. It was really hard. It was really hard to get the people in sales and the people in accounting and the people in services, and we have more than one market we sell to, so they think about our products differently, and the people in development and the people in product management, and lo and behold, we're the people in content trying to keep up with all these people. So to get everybody to agree on, when we're talking about this aspect of our product, what is it called? And we all thought we knew what it was called, again, until we got that group of people together. So we had a couple false starts. We finally got into it and said, you know what, we are never going to get everybody to perfectly agree, so let's just stop thinking that's what we have to do. And instead, let's get a working model of a taxonomy that will live and grow and be malleable and be responsive to whatever else is changing. Because remember what I said about all that change, about we're changing our products and services, we've got regulatory change, we've got technology change. So the taxonomy is only as good as it is today, and it's going to change tomorrow. So we need a way to recognize that and manage that. So that's what we finally did. We got a working group together, and then we launched our taxonomy in the 4th quarter of last year. So last November, we said, here's our starting point. Now let's start to apply this to all our repositories. And the first team to do that was mine, which was all of our content repositories, all of our documents, our knowledge base, our navigation, apply that taxonomy to it. And lo and behold, as we've been implementing it, and we still are, we found some things we forgot in the taxonomy, right? Until you start to use it, and then you realize, oh, I forgot about describing this element of functionality, or this nuance in the functionality. The other thing that we found, which was vitally important, was that synonyms were our friend. And the more we use the taxonomy and the more we analyze the search that goes on, which is really the key to this, the more we find that the way we call things is not even the way our customers will call things. And we need to account for all of that. So if I'm typing into the search to find some knowledge base article, and I'll give you an example. I'm a customer and I'm typing in, tell me how UltiPro handles vacation pay. But we've tagged that as PTO, or paid time off. You're not going to find vacation. And so we need a synonym that says PTO and paid time off and vacation and leave management are all the same thing. Now, do I need multiple elements of my taxonomy? Not really. They're all at the same level, but they're all synonyms. And once we could embrace that, it got a whole lot easier to manage our taxonomy and to grow it. Because the point of this, the point of having taxonomy, were for findability. That I could search and find the quickest possible route to the best possible answer, and that my navigation was intuitive. Metrics and analytics being the next big piece of this. You can't just put it out there. You have to monitor it. You have to watch it. You have to measure it. So findability is about our content library and searching against it and then managing those results. We use Microsoft FAST, F-A-S-T is an acronym, as our search engine against our entire repository of information. So an example of what taxonomy did for us, this is what our release notes front matter looked like pre-taxonomy. 20 functional areas that you had to comb through. It's now 7. Our quick tours menu, which is 135 little video clips, looked like this prior to taxonomy. Now it looks like this, 7 layers of, type, click in, and there's what you're looking for. So it made a big difference in usability for our customers. The other thing we're managing is the authoring itself. Those of you who do a lot of authoring, are you using a single source authoring application, an actual application? And again, I'm not here to sell you on any particular application. We use a product called Authorit. So think about it like a database for content. So we manage content units. We have thousands of documents of different types that we publish. We have tens of thousands of content units that we've written and continue to write and maintain and organize according to a taxonomy. We want to write them for reuse. We want to write them for translation because we do translate our content into multiple languages. So our principle is the one fact, one place, or write once and use many. So what this allows us to do is to say, here's the procedural steps, 4 things to do this action in the application. And that's the same steps whether it's an online help or it's in a job aid or it's part of some version of training. It's the same unit. So we only have to write it one time. So if that part of the product changes, I update it one time. And this application will flag me and say, this thing you just changed, by the way, it's used in 5 other publications. Do you want to republish those? Sure. Boom, 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 and I'm up to date. It's been tremendous for us, revolutionary, in fact, to be able to do that sort of thing, to manage our information. So the smarter we get with our taxonomy, our findability, and managing single source, the more efficient we've become and the more productive we've become. Because I don't know about you, but they don't let me add to headcount. So I've had to manage what I have with the people I have, even as the product has grown tremendously. This is how we've done it, is to make a change like that. The other part that's been important is the governance and standards around what we do. Yes, we have a malleable taxonomy, but we do have standards about it. Otherwise, we'll be right back to the mess we had of 12 different ways people categorize information. So we still have a governance board that meets monthly that talks about that taxonomy, and we have an approval process for that. We actually use social media for our approval process. We're a Salesforce customer. We use Chatter, which is kind of like Yammer. And that's how we manage our approval. We put an information piece out there. Everybody comments on it. Everybody votes. And then we're good to go. So we don't have to wait for the meeting to have that conversation. So all of those things, publication styles, standards, writing standards, all those things that we manage, we put out there in a wiki, we put out there in internal conversation, social groups. And then the last thought I'll leave you with is measure everything, absolutely everything. So we know what we have in our library, we know how old it is, we know what parts of our application it supports, we know how it's tagged with metadata from a findability perspective. Increasingly, what's more important than that is who's using it, when are they using it, how are they using it, why are they using it. So metrics, consumption metrics have been the other most important thing for us to do. So when we have a major UI or brand change, and we have 135 little video clips we got to go change, we start with the ones that get used the most. So the #1 video clip of ours that gets looked at is viewing and understanding my W-2, which is a web page. So tens of thousands of hits to that. That was the first thing we changed. And then the next thing was understanding my benefits. And the next thing was understanding my paycheck. So we start there, and we use consumption metrics to help us manage our backlog. We are an agile development organization. We use Kanban as our methodology. So every 2 weeks, there's actually a change in the working software. We only ship it every 4 months. So that's allowed us to keep up by measuring what's going on, knowing what's relevant, knowing what our users actually like to use has been a real key factor for us. And these are less interesting than the fact we measure everything. So what are your problems? What are your questions?
At this point, I'd like to open it up for questions. If anybody has any questions for Linda about what they're doing at Ultimate or how they've gotten to where they're at. Yes, sir.
This doesn't deserve a microphone. I'm just wondering if you're using anything like natural language processing or anything. So taxonomies are great, and there's a real challenge with managing ongoing libraries of synonyms. Do you use anything that helps semantically tie this?
To tie that together.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can relate that to is what we do with Microsoft Fast, which is the front-end search engine. I was in one of those sessions yesterday that talked about content management. Do you want to be in the cloud? Do you want to be open source? Do you want to be on-premise? And I walked away with my own opinion, frankly, saying, it doesn't matter as long as I can find it. So findability for us is the key. So to the end user, they have a simple, very simple web-based interface to type in their search and get back an answer. And it searches about 20 different kinds of repositories. We have data stored offsite, inside, in the cloud, it doesn't matter. But we manage those searches. So I have a team of folks that look at what are people searching for, what are the top 10 things they're searching for, what are the top 10 zero result searches, and why. And that's where we're getting into our synonyms. That example of they typed in vacation, but we didn't have the word vacation associated with the content we had. So we're constantly reviewing and managing what did they search for. We can boost to the top of the list what really should have been the best answer. So we watch for trends, and with us, that's kind of seasonal, like W-2s being an example. So trends, synonyms, zero result searches, boosting and blocking. We can also block something that really isn't appropriate as an answer for that. And we also collect customer feedback. So they also have a little, did you find what you were looking for link? And some people say yes, and that's it. And other people say no, and you people stink because I hate your application, whatever they're going to say. But we deal with that too. So not a computer-based natural language way. Frankly, it's human beings reading results.
Sure.
Thanks. So the other thing I was going to ask you was the role of structured metadata in terms of contextual searching. So can you kind of speak to, a lot of times when people post large volumes of content, especially social, it kind of just gets added to the morass of content being searched. So can you speak to the roles of what kind of content you're applying more structured metadata schemas to and how you're managing that?
Right. Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So we're on a path for this. We started out by structuring searches against what was officially posted. So on our support site, we have content of various types. So that was a lot easier to say, here's the structure that goes with what those documents are about. And then we expanded it to every element of our knowledge base. And then we got a little more inventive and said, well, we also want to extend it to our recorded webcasts, our video clips, and so we had to tie metadata to those things. And then we started to apply it to our blog, and then that got a little more interesting to tie it into the blog. the information that we put out there for which customers are allowed to comment. We haven't yet crossed over that bridge into the social media aspect of LinkedIn. So we're looking at how do we pull that in. What we're actually doing is implementing a feature of Salesforce called Answers, which is the community answer in Salesforce to how do you engage your customers. When they don't want to search your knowledge base, or they tried and they couldn't find their answer, they can ask each other. So we want to get that out of LinkedIn, inside something a little bit so we can control it, but more so that we can tag it. So that now we can make that part of the search results and also say, there's a trend here. We probably need an article about that we hadn't written yet. So to be able to manage those results again. So that's how we're going to get at that aspect of the information. Because we'll never consume the entire world of Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. We do use, as a company, we do use Radian 6 to monitor that information. So from a corporate presence perspective, our marketing folks are always out there looking at that. And like John's example yesterday of, somebody better call me because I'm really mad at this refinancing I'm going through. So we're looking for stuff like that.
Thanks, everybody. I'm afraid we're out of time, but I hope we'll be able to continue the discussions via Twitter, at the breaks, at lunch, and so forth. So thanks, Linda, and thanks, everybody, for attending.
Thank you for your time.